Make sure to subscribe to the Volume YouTube channel so you can catch all of our shows and get what everybody wants, more of me. Fake questions, real answers. There's stuff I want to talk about and don't want to wait for you to ask me the question. Dear Colin, why didn't things work out between Harbaugh and the Vikings? He appeared to have the job. Well, I think one of the things that is key here, collaboration. Jim Harbaugh, not really a collaborator. Brian Flores fired 3 coordinators in 3 years, not known as a great collaborator. Again, Brian Flores is very much old school. What's attractive about Sean McVay and Matt LaFleur and Zach Taylor, they're seen as collaborators. They work well with the GM and the owner and the executive offices and the players and the veterans and the young guys. Right now, Sean McVay, his coaching tree already has 5 current coaches in it because like McVay, they're all collaborative. Dear Colin, can you explain why an NFL owner and possibly 2 could possibly consider paying a head coach to lose games? Well, I think they're smart guys. I think it's hard to be a billionaire if you're dim. But we all know that wealth gives you certain advantages. You can travel on a private jet. You can have people do things for you. You could have people walk your dog, wash your car, shop for food, go to the DMV. There's a lot of advantages. Your grandchildren, your children, educational opportunities. We know there's a lot of positives with wealth. The downside, you lose touch with reality. And because you can buy your way in and out of things like discomfort, you start thinking money is the answer for everybody's happiness. The idea that you would offer a coach money to lose games, especially an African-American coach, in this case, Hugh Jackson or Brian Flores, where statistically it's hard enough to get a job, forget being fired for losing games and getting a second job. I think money sometimes at a billionaire's level distorts reality. If these accusations are true, Stephen Ross's value system is clearly not the same as Brian Flores. Brian Flores has been in this league for 2 decades. He's been a grinder. He values integrity and trust and a locker room of men who have to believe in him. If the word got out that he was tanking games, he would never be viewed by players the same. Dear Colin, what's the college football story that everyone should be talking more about? You know what I think is fascinating about the transfer portal? If you ask people about their favorite shows ever, Sopranos, Narcos, I loved Mindhunter. One of the reasons that succeeded with me, and I couldn't wait to watch not only the first year, but the second year and the third year and the fourth year, Ozark, is because those stories year to year were building like a dynasty in sports. Could the Bulls, Michael Jordan, get past ever the Pistons and Isaiah Thomas and Bill Laimbeer? Could Magic beat Bird or Bird beat Magic? Would Manning finally beat Brady because Brady's beating Manning? What makes sports great is not just the individual championship. It is the dynasty and the story arc of great teams and players battling each other year after year after year. It's the same with television. True Detective, it was a one-off. You have a story, and then the second year, everybody changes. The cast, the story, it didn't work because it was a transitional story, a transitional show. That's what's happened to college basketball. The minute you meet a young star, a Ja Morant or a Zion Williamson, by the next year he's a pro. I get 1 month of him in March, and then I have to start over again. It's True Detective. What makes the NBA at its best great was that yin and yang, back and forth, that seesaw relationship between Magic, on the West Coast, Bird on the East Coast, the great Michael Jordan, the bad boys in Detroit. How long would Steph, Clay, and Draymond and KD last? How long would the Heatles? The Heatles lost to Dallas year 1. Then LeBron wins his title year 2. Then they repeat in year 3. Then they're a big disappointment in year 4. And the ratings keep going up. One-offs are not good for business in sports. That's what college basketball is and why the sport has died. I worry about college football similarly becoming too transactional. Players constantly changing year to year. Quarterbacks constantly changing. It's the old Seinfeld line. Am I rooting for laundry? I am for players having the right to transfer. But do you really think it's good to transfer in a season? Do you really think it's okay for a quarterback to transfer 3 or 4 times? I mean, if I told you McVay and Stafford were on the Ravens in 2 weeks, is that good for the league? What about the Rams? Transactional does empower the athlete. But these are all businesses, including college football and college basketball. And what has killed college basketball, it has become True Detective, a one-off. And frankly, the reason you love Narcos and love The Sopranos and love Ozark is because the repetitive nature and the story arc and the drama keep building and building and building. Colin, what is your most controversial take ever? Oh, I'll tell you what it is. I do not believe in UFOs. I know. You've got to be very arrogant to believe we're the only creatures in the universe. All right, I've been called arrogant before, so be it. I saw a story yesterday, Area 51 in Vegas, where they spotted an aircraft that had never been spotted before. Well, what do you know? Much like the stealth, our government's been working on a project for probably close to a decade, and we finally get a picture of it. Let me ask you, where did they do the test flights? Is it possible over the Atlantic? Over the Pacific? Where we have Pentagon video of spacecraft without wings, not your usual jet propulsion? Folks, they got to fly these puppies somewhere. Governments, not just ours, head to the oceans. You ever notice how often we're getting these pieces of incredible video over the oceans? You ever think it's our aircraft being tested? This is what happened to the stealth. I used to work at a Las Vegas TV station. The reporter who broke the story was Dan Burns. For years and years, there were reports of UFOs over the desert, triangle-shaped. No, it was Area 51. Our government was working on the stealth. Whenever people don't have an answer for something, they always come up with the most sinister one. Like, let's say you tuck yourself into bed at night and you suddenly hear something outside. Your mind races, it's a burglar. When less than 1% of us will ever have our house burglarized while we're in it. It's probably your dog, the wind, a tree branch hitting the house. But where does your mind go? Burglar, I'm in great danger. It's the same thing every time you see a piece of video. Where do we go to? Space aliens. It's probably our government putting new aircraft through tests in the Pacific or the Atlantic. And a pilot radios the tower. This is a two-nighter, American Flight 297. The hell I just saw fly at 3,000 feet. Yeah. There's a reason we don't have an answer, because our government's trying to keep it private. If I walked up to you and you and I had a friend and his name was Bob, and I said to you, hey, I saw Bob's wife yesterday. You're not going to believe what I saw. I know what you're thinking. She's having random sex with a stranger. No, I was going to say, I saw Bob's wife the other day. She was at the park with our kids. It was so funny and cute. But where did your mind go? I whispered I was quiet. I mentioned Bob. It almost seemed covert. Our government's got to test our stuff. Where are they testing it? Not in broad daylight over LA. They're testing it at night over the Pacific. Have you ever thought about this? Neil deGrasse Tyson always says this. We got 1 million amateur astronomers around the world. Yet UFO video is always fuzzy. And from a cell phone, it's never a guy with a $7,000 telescope. He's got iPhone 3. We're on iPhone 13, maybe 28. He's got iPhone 3. It's fuzzy. It's a Frisbee. I think I see Hasbro on it. I mean, come on. There's literally video of everything in the world. In fact, I'll give you an example. This is a great Diet Coke. There's video of that. I don't even think this is a controversial take. This is like saying Joe Burrow's a good quarterback. There's no such thing as UFOs.